Hey, Two-Laners, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been with us, we've got something a little different for you today. We are going to showcase our Route 66 route. We spent about 7 days on the road. We covered about 2,400 miles through 8 states. It's pretty cool. We're going to share with you some of our highlights, and it's springtime. So since we got through so many states, we're going to be able to talk about each of those individually.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just really fantastic. I mean, we've been doing this a little over a year now. We've been riding for 10 years together. But the trials and tribulations and the things that happen on the road, I mean, it's just, we have this ability to overcome them. And with Josh on our team, everything just gets better and better. And we just want to take a moment and share this journey with you because we got some great ones coming up.
Yeah, we were in Chicago 2 years ago,
right,
standing at the sign. We had the wives,
right,
and we were at the end of Route 66, or maybe it was the starting, who knows which sign we were at.
Right.
And a year later, almost to the day, we were back there on our motorcycles.
And the great thing about that is Galen and I travel, we find places, and then all of a sudden this idea comes up, and the next thing you know, we're vlogging it.
Yeah. Well, we chose to do the route, and we were like, what are we actually going to, are we taking the whole thing? And we started doing some history on it and realized that not the entire route is not, it's broken up in places. So we found this app called Route 66 app.
Right.
Put that on the bikes, and we took off, and we started in Santa Monica. I remember we're standing there, and we're sitting there in the sign,
right,
on the pier. It was fantastic.
Right. And it's great how these trips unfold and how they've unfolded on us, where things naturally fall into place. I usually pull the card out when we're getting gas. Galen goes into the hotel, gets the rooms. And no one said, hey, you do that.
Right.
We just kind of flow into this thing, and then we just pick the restaurant.
Right.
Or wherever we're going to eat, so it just a natural flow. We're going to share it with you, and this is exciting.
Right. Hey, so let's get started with this review. We started at Santa Monica Pier. We were looking at the sign.
Right.
There's over 129 stops in California. We didn't do all of them, but that's quite a few.
It would take a week in California if you wanted to hit every single one of them.
Yeah, it almost did. It really messed with our schedule. We thought we could get to certain places.
Right.
And so this first day, because we had to cut through Beverly Hills, downtown LA, back up into Pasadena. We saw the Rancho Cucamonga Conoco iconic station that was there.
What was the restaurant that we saw?
I think it was the Lamplighter Inn.
Magic
Lamp Inn.
Magic Lamp Inn.
Yeah, that's
that was
what
our
it was.
First. We filmed along the way, but that was our first real stop of, hey, check this out.
And then what did you do? You showed people the inside of some teepees. What was that?
The Wigwam.
Yeah, the Wigwam Hotel. It's pretty dang cool.
Did it take us about 6 hours to get out of California?
I think it took us a little longer than that because we also took the 66 up behind the 15, up into Hesperia. Then we got off in Ludlow.
Right.
And we took the 66 all the way down as far as we could.
And that was really cool to be next to I-40.
Yeah.
And you're right next to it on Route 66, and you see it's painted on the ground, Route 66, and you're riding along going, there's no traffic over here. It was kind of neat,
Yeah, and I'm looking down. I talked about the app in the opening. There's a Route 66 app that we used, and so we'll put that in a link as in the vlog here. It was really pretty cool. It shows you all the destinations. It gives you a little bit of history. It also gives you the navigational tools, but we had to play with it a little bit because when you start it from one point to the next point, if you hop off the route and go up onto the freeway and then get back down, it wants you to go back.
Right.
So you just have to know your right and left turns and keep moving along.
Well, what did we say the whole time we were doing this trip? We did it our way.
We did it our way. So yeah, California was really cool. We saw some iconic things. I think we'll have some great clips of that.
Well, there was more in California than I had imagined.
Yeah, well, we didn't even get out of California day one. We stayed in Kingman.
That's Arizona.
It was. We did get out of California.
We barely got out of California.
Well, maybe we could talk about Arizona.
Yeah, well, we were at Santa Monica Pier in the fog at 6 a.m. in the morning. And it just got warmer and great. And, the journey had begun.
Right.
So, we'll see you all down the road on the next state.
Yeah, so Arizona is where we ended up in the evening in Kingman. But before we got there, we took Josh up into Oatman, and a donkey kicked him.
Oh,
That was classic,
right,
you know.
right.
Josh, where are we? And had a beer at the Oatman Hotel. Showed him that place. They've got dollar bills all over the place. I think they said there's a couple $100,000 pasted on the walls.
And that's a big historic spot
Yes.
in the beginning of Arizona for Route 66.
Yep. And then we went to Cold Springs right up on top. Took a couple drone shots up there. This is a really neat little filling station. It's more of they don't have gas anymore, but it's a kind of a touristy spot. But
Right.
it almost reminds me of Disneyland, Radiator Springs kind of look to it.
Right, and you told me I needed to see that. I've seen it, and so I know what you mean. So
Yeah.
Cool Springs was a beautiful spot. We've been there many times, but awesome.
And then I think the sun was going down a little bit, and that's how we ended up in Kingman. We wanted to get a bit further, but we didn't. Then what?
Well, we spent the night in Kingman, had a great dinner, got up the next morning, and it's like, okay, it felt like the journey was really starting to get into full swing. And we went to Route 66 through Peach Springs, Grand Canyon Caverns,
Hackberry.
and you said, Hackberry, and you said, we need to go find this Lilo's West Side Lilo's.
Yep.
And we went there.
We
How
went
was that?
there. It was great. I mean, the food was great. The owner came out, and she was super. You guys went back there,
Yeah.
and a couple times, right? You
Yeah.
had to get the carrot cake.
Yeah.
Took Sherry back there, but
Yeah.
very accommodating, very
Right.
kind, and didn't have to. She gave us shirts. She gave us a piece of cake. I mean,
Right.
it was great.
So we ended up spending the night.
We went to Winslow, Arizona. We went through Williams.
Right, we didn't stay in Williams,
No,
which we usually do.
we usually
So
do.
We had a morning run through Williams.
And that's where the dude came up on us and said, "Hey, you guys gave me my route and so forth." It was pretty cool.
That was definitely cool. And I think we had lunch and a beer, or we just had a beer in Winslow.
Yeah, and then we took off and got out to where did we stay that night? I think that's New Mexico. So maybe we need to talk about that on our next clip.
Right. I mean, so at this point, the trip is in full swing. We're all in the mood of Route 66, and it was New Mexico next.
Yeah, and again, there were over 200 stops in Arizona. We probably hit about 50 or 75 of them.
Right.
So pretty cool.
But had fun doing it.
Absolutely.
Up next, New Mexico.
Yeah, so next is New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So what did you think of that state?
It's a very interesting state. The scenery, the mountains, everything's a little bit different than I'm used to. And I don't remember what the first city that we rolled into that was on Route 66.
I think we stayed in Albuquerque.
That was the first night?
That was the first night, and then the boys bought us some breakfast the next day, and we saw, what is it, Madrid?
Yeah, we had no idea where we're going. Next thing you know, we're going, hey, this is where Wild Hogs was filmed.
Right. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And the store there is just a storefront.
Right.
It's not even a diner or anything. So
Well, the town was made famous because of the movie. Now it's on the map.
so we're Wild Hogs? Dang.
At that moment in time, I guess we were.
I guess we were. Well, then we made our way up to Santa Fe, which is absolutely beautiful.
Artist town.
Yeah. And lo and behold, there's a Las Vegas, New Mexico that we shot out to. And that whole ride through there, were some great canyons and just the roads were great. It was awesome. But then we kind of got in some deserty feel, and it was a little bit underwhelming at some points.
Right, it was just the push to Texas at that point. But there was really great old structures to be seen. There was broken down structures. There's always iconic things along the way.
Yeah, there were about 200 spots, and we saw a lot of them. We went through Tucumcari, and then when
Right.
we got back, the owner of a hotel called us and wants us to go out and film for them. So, and then as we were leaving New Mexico, I had the app going, and we're on the side roads. What did we run into?
The unexpected, which happens on the open road. Now I'm listening in my headset, and Galen goes, "Oh, whoa! The asphalt just stopped, and now we're on dirt."
Yeah, we were on the brakes pretty heavy, but I didn't want to turn around at that point, and we got some epic shots of that.
Right.
So it's pretty cool, and that was our gateway into getting into Texas.
Right.
That's where we spent
Dirt.
the night. It was a dirt road, so kind of good. We stayed there. We what was the restaurant? Do you remember it?
The Big Texan
Yes.
in Amarillo, 72-ounce steak.
So we made our way to Amarillo, and we watched some people eat some of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty gnarly, but yeah, it was a great day. It was a long day, and then let's talk about Texas. So
Well, the Big Texan, you get a 72-ounce steak if you can eat it with all the fixins. You get it free. So what did we all do? We got petite fillets.
yeah, we could have had Josh order it and then just scarfed off of
Right,
his
right.
plate. Man, that would have been great.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I think we got in a fight that night too. So we were pugilists.
We felt a little bit Texas,
Yeah.
but whether it's a flat tire or a little bit of a tiff or a bad weather, it is the memories that make these trips
Absolutely.
great,
So here we are in Texas. In the morning, we had to backtrack a little bit because we had passed Cadillac Ranch. It was getting dark, and we wanted people to see some really cool drone shots and get the vivid picture of it. But we backtracked, went there. That was really cool. We got a page or a text, I should say. Page is like foreign, but we got a text, and we had to pull over. And lo and behold, Josh whips out the computer and starts doing some file transfer.
Right.
And we were right at the Leaning Tower of Texas.
Right.
A big water tower this guy bought. It's stable. It looks like it's going to fall over, but it was a way for him to landmark and showcase his auto parts and gas station shop there. It was pretty cool.
Right.
Great to see that. And then we went into Shamrock to see this iconic Conoco station. There was an old diner attached to it.
Really awesome.
Really cool station that they redid, and I was pretty stoked on that.
And the interesting thing there at the Shamrock Station there, I mean, the history was amazing, but there was a couple in their motorhome
Yep.
traveling the same route we were doing. But the reason they were doing it, it was their 66th birthday, each of them, on Route 66.
Pretty cool.
The things you see
Yeah.
on Route 66.
So then, there's about 60 or 70 spots in Texas. We
Right.
hit probably half of them.
Right.
And then we made our way into Oklahoma. So,
Let's see Oklahoma.
all righty.
So now we're heading to Elk City, Oklahoma. And, we're on the 2 lanes, we're burning down the road, and you see so many great things. But Elk City is where the big museum is.
Yeah, there was a big museum. There was a little town replica that they had put out there.
Right.
And we also ended up having a beer in a shady bar somewhere, a shady place.
Yeah, that was the
Pretty
Shady
gnarly.
Saloon, maybe.
But I really enjoyed riding through there. There were a bunch of bridges that we crossed. There was wildlife. There were cows. There were farms. And then it started getting a little bit darker at night and a little later at night. And so, we pulled into Oklahoma City, and what was in front of us there?
Well, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds?
Yeah.
That was happening right in front of our face.
I mean, it was crazy.
Bird tornado.
We called it the bird tornado. That was pretty
that was
nice.
interesting.
And it was a great day of riding.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that was cool was the grain elevators. I can't remember which town that was, but
Calumet.
that was a Calumet
Yeah.
area. That's right. And it was and those roads, and there was leaves on the road too, and it was just like whoa. Stuff was kicking up, and we're in these back roads. It was just.
And we're getting
superb.
into these areas where there was orange colors and things going on. I'm going, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm starting to really dig Oklahoma here.
Well, we found that in Oklahoma, and we'll talk about Missouri too, because it was just as. I mean, that was
Absolutely.
pretty darn cool. But hey. Look, that bird tornado was one way to end the night.
Right. So
in
then
the
it was
evening.
next up, Missouri.
Yep, Oklahoma to Missouri. Here we come. So we're on day 5 now, right? And we're going Oklahoma to Missouri.
Yeah.
So where did we start out?
We started out in Oklahoma City. We had a
Yeah.
little breakfast, and then we had to hit the road. And now we're on the gas. And the first town we come to is Chandler, Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I remember that town it had a different feel to it. There was a lot of modern buildings, but then there was a bunch of these retro buildings that they had rehabbed.
Right.
And that was a pretty cool little town through there.
Well, one thing I noticed, some cities, some towns that you pass through on Route 66, they Some are just dilapidated and the way they were, beat up, left ghost towns.
Yeah.
And some are built up for the tourism to come in and go, wow, this is what it was like.
They sure are dilapidated.
Yeah.
So then we were sitting there cruising down the 66, and we jump into Stroud. There was I think it was called the Rock Cafe that we wanted
Yeah.
to go to. And there was a whole group of people there.
Yeah. All on bikes.
They were what? The Veterans 7-7 chapter?
7-7 chapter, the Combat Vet Motorcycle Association.
Nice. And we actually did a little piece with them.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I think we ended it, I don't know what you said, but everyone was laughing, so that was kind of funny. And then, gosh, I mean, got back on the Route 66, some small town roads. It was great. We got hungry.
Right. We always do.
We did.
We always do.
And we went into the Highway Cafe. You'll see a picture of that. But what happened to you there?
Something that had something to do with sourdough and not having it.
Yeah, I think you wanted a BLT.
on sourdough. And she said, did you read the menu?
She was pretty spunky.
She was young,
Yeah.
spunky, and wanted to give me crap.
It was great.
But it was fun.
I laughed.
Yeah.
You know, and then as we were cruising along the 66, we got up on the 44, had to make a little bit of time because we were headed to Eureka, where we were going to spend the night in Missouri. But right off the 44, it was the sun was kind of going down. It was beautiful. We saw a couple of these, bridges that we went and filmed at.
Right. Amazing old rusty bridges. So we pulled over, and Josh got out Gilbert, and we started having some fun with it. And I think Gilbert actually crashed into a pole.
I think Gilbert got a little crazy.
Right.
The
Yeah.
propeller caught a little signpost, and I don't know, the avoidance system I think worked because it didn't flip him around. He ended up just kind of soft landing, and it
Well, I
was
think he had to turn
pretty
it
good.
off to go through the bridge.
I don't know what it was, but it certainly didn't throw him to the ground.
So I was really amazed with how the change from Oklahoma to Missouri was.
Yeah, it was. Oklahoma had some beautiful parts to it, but Missouri, that ended up being our favorite state.
That
I
was
think.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
All right, so we're now to day 6, and we're going to head up. We're going to make the push up from Missouri up into Illinois and hit the end of Route 66 for us.
Right.
We got up in the morning, had a little breakfast there at the hotel. We had some spectacular views. It must have rained overnight. It did rain overnight, and the clouds were just beautiful, and just a view from the hotel was excellent. Got up on the interstate, and we saw the Big Arch, which was kind of cool. We got that
was
on
great.
film.
Yeah.
And then we made our way, we spent a lot of time on back roads in Missouri. We made our way to the Rabbit Ranch. That's a pretty cool place. There's some history on that. There's apparently some bunnies that this guy, they do tricks and stuff. And it wasn't open when we were there, but we got some good footage there. And then what was crossing the road?
So a little turtle was crossing the road, and you stopped. So we got over, and we picked the guy up and continued him on his journey off the road. And
You helped the dude out.
Yeah, he was a cool little guy.
So, the back roads in that town, or in that state were just amazing. Tree-lined, tree-covered, leaves on the ground. We're kicking leaves up. It was that time of year when the fall of the year when the colors were there. It was an amazing run through the back roads there.
And we didn't really hit any bad weather the whole time.
No, not
to this
especially.
point.
We were in Lebanon, Missouri. All these little towns were pretty cool. I think Lebanon was where I think there was a Miss USA pageant or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we got back on the highway, and we jumped off on the interstate when we were getting into Illinois, and we blew all the toll roads.
Well, we had to, because you pull up and they say exact change.
Right.
And we're like, we didn't have our coin dispenser.
Well, and it was interesting. We called when we got back to try to be good citizens and pay our debt to society. And lo and behold, the guy that we were on the phone with actually rode a motorcycle, and we started talking about two-lane, and he right then and there signed up.
Right.
And he let us skate free, so
Right.
that was cool. He said it's our first time. They generally,
Right.
let first offenders. So if you've never been into these states, go ahead and blow the tolls. They'll relieve you the first time. Unfortunately, we did it like 10 times.
And that's
so-
kind of getting your kicks on Route 66. Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so no, don't take that advice, please. And then, hey, we started making our way up into Chicago and that farmland, and all of a sudden we're in rain. And it was whoa, Josh started like getting freezing cold.
We had to pull over, put the
Had to
rain
pull
gear
over.
on, and get all suited up. But it's like, I never thought, when I think of Illinois, Chicago, I think of, the Chicago
Buildings,
Bears,
yeah.
buildings, and we're out in farmland.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It was really, you learned a lot about the country doing Route 66.
We sure did.
And we met a lot of cool people. So,
Well, then we pull into town.
right.
And man, the buildings, and we're on bikes, and we saw the L train, which is their systems. It's a above ground subway system, or public transportation system. So saw that, went under it, cruised around, looked at the Millennium Park that they have there, which is where the Magic Bean is, and then we pull up to the sign.
Yeah, and to your point, it's really interesting to be in the mountains and the canyonlands and the valleys and the fields, and now we're riding in a city with tall buildings.
Metropolitan
That was
city.
kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was a whole different vibe for us to be in the city, ripping around. What are we doing? But it was great.
Josh was wheeling all over the place. It's crazy stuff.
Right, we had to pull over, and we got right up to the sign, and,
And it was almost a year to the day that we were there.
exactly.
It's so crazy to me that happened.
I think we did this. We did a fist pump.
Yep.
And said we did it.
Yep. And we had a guy there that was panhandling, trying to get in our vlog. It was
Right.
pretty cool.
But that wasn't the end of our journey.
It was not. So let's let him look at the clips, and we'll talk about the last couple days of our journey
Excellent.
down the road. So that was really cool doing Route 66. And,
Unbelievable.
It was an amazing trip, but hey, it wasn't over.
It
What
wasn't
did we have
over.
lined up the next 2 days?
Well, we split and we went up to Milwaukee because we wanted to go to the HD Museum.
That's right.
So the home of the Harley motorcycle, and we got to go in and see the museum.
We stayed at this epic hotel up there called the Iron Horse.
Yeah.
It was referred to us by a couple of the guys from Harley. And we ended up walking around that night, getting some cheese curds and showing Josh the ropes.
Right.
He'd never had a cheese curd, and I don't know if he'll ever have one again, but hopefully.
If you ever want squeaky teeth,
Yeah,
have cheese
You got to
curds.
do that.
So, it was really cool because, going into the museum and seeing all this after doing this journey
Yeah.
kind of capped it off.
Well, we got the behind the scenes tour that Harley had set up for us, and I was amazed
Right.
at all the bikes and the work that they've done to preserve those bikes and the history of it. We had a great tour guide. I liked the private room that we went up to see all the different bikes there. That was great. And then, hey, the guys over at House of Harley.
Yeah.
We went over there and visited with them, and what a bunch of great guys over there. Treated us just like family.
Yeah.
We did a little piece on that with them, and so hopefully you check that out. But what a great trip.
We learned a lot on this trip, and I learned that I got to keep riding because travel is awesome.
Well, I have to tell you, this has been super cool for me to just relive the trip.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We're gonna have to do a few of these, I think, because I think this is a way to get people to kind of go take a look at that trip and the footage. And man, if you go to our website, twolanelife.com, there's a section called blogs, and you click on the rides, and it will list where we stayed, where we ate, points of interest. There's a map, and Josh has done a really good job of narrating, what we did during the trip. And so I would, urge you to go look at that and check that blog site out, because it's pretty spectacular.
We've put together a great travel series, and all the information you need to know you can find at the website.
Absolutely.
And it's fantastic to share, and we get inspiration from everyone, and we keep wanting to go more. The trips we have planned now are awesome.
I love you, man.
Yes, we do.
And you know what? It was cool to see Josh enjoy this trip too, because he hadn't seen some of the areas, and neither had we.
Well, that
so we
is a
all
cool thing.
experienced it for the first time together.
Yeah, and he's seeing things that he's learning a whole new thing, and it's everything about everything we're doing is fun, and I love it.
I mean, he's 24,
Yeah.
and so what a time in his life to be able to go out and see all these epic places. He's not going to have anywhere to take his kids because he'll have seen it all when he's all said and done. But hey, what do these guys need to do?
Subscribe to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can be involved with us on every trip we take.
Yeah, give us a ring on the bell, thumbs up, comment. We love to hear from you guys. We try to answer every comment. And, we will see you down the road.